Hello, welcome back to Going Walkabout. It's episode 50 and the app is done. The app in version 1 is done, but it still needs to get approved by Apple, and for that I still have to do some work. So let's see what I had to do before I could submit it to Apple for the very first time. Now, the first thing that I got out of the test were some layout issues, and most importantly for people using large fonts, that I also made an episode about, and people on a very small phone, the iPhone SE, have troubles signing up and logging in because the window didn't scroll. Now, I changed the window here, as you can see. If you go to the registration and I can nicely scroll here so that you can still access all the fields, and the same for the sign in. And now it even works in landscape if you want to use that. Not very convenient, but you could do that. It was a relatively simple fix, but with storyboards, embedding views in a scroll view, etc. is always a little bit of a hassle with your auto constraints, etc. But all I had to do for this is take up this bunch of controls here, embed them in a view, and embed that again in a scroll view, and then it was working the way you just saw happening there. So that was something I had to do. I was postponing it for a while, but now I did it anyway, and now it's fine. It works perfectly. So that was a good thing to go through. Now, another thing, of course, I had to do is make sure to upgrade all my screenshots with the latest version and the latest information, etc. And a while back I created an episode on how to create screenshots, and that was most of the time still working, except that I did that on iOS 12, now it's iOS 13, there's a new bunch of simulators, so I had a little bit tweaking in my config files, but then I created the new screenshots, and that was also done, over and ready. Another thing is that, now the app is done. I also need to pay a little bit more attention to the marketing part, so I worked on the landing page of the app. And I'll show you that here. So if we look here, we see the landing page, and we can scroll this page. And of course, we can still go through the story of Going Walkabout. I updated the social media icons here to actually include also a Facebook page that you can see here in the better Facebook situation, but you can see here, and I will link them below, and I appreciate your likes and follows of the pages. Now, after that, I did my first attempt to send it to Apple, and to be honest, it was a big fail for my part. First of all, I had crashes in the iPad, and that was not because I didn't know Apple is testing on the iPad, but it was much more because I just didn't test it well enough. Now, if you use UI alert view controllers, you always have to be aware that on the iPad they don't show in the middle, from the bottom of the screen, but they actually show from the button where you initiate the action. And for that, they need to know the source view of starting the action. And I just neglected that. So let's go and have a look how I solved that and how you can see what you should do to make sure it doesn't crash on an iPad. Okay, as you can see, I have started an iPad simulator to show you what is the problem and also how to solve it easily. Now, if I go to a trip that I don't own, that means a trip where I didn't write the content but someone else, and I want to flag that content as, for instance, for inappropriate, I go to that trip. This is a trip like that, and then I can go here and click this icon. So we get into a breakpoint, and it is actually starting my UI alert controller. And it works, it has added the actions, but now if I continue, if it is a popover, so if it's on an iPad and it needs to be shown as a popover and not coming from the button, you have to make sure that you set the source view. Now, lucky enough, this piece of code, you can get the popover from it, works both on the iPad and on the phone, so you don't need to differentiate on that, but just adding this, it will now set the correct source view, and if I continue, we can see it is setting it correctly. If you don't do that, it doesn't know where to render or show the actually alert view, and your app will crash. So it was a stupid mistake from my side. Apple catched it, reject the app, and I have to start over. And as you can see by now, I have fixed that part. Now there was another part where Apple was asking for clarification. Let's put it like that. Now, if you have an app and the review team needs to review, you need to provide clear instructions on what the app is doing, how it is working, and all kind of inner needs. Especially if you have in-app purchases, because they really want to look at that. Did you do that in a way that Apple can approve that, etc. And in my particular case, they didn't at first not agree on the way I implemented my in-app purchases, because there's the consumable and the non-consumable products, and they kind of understood that I was selling an upgrade of the app and that should be a non-consumable. But in my case, it's an upgrade for an individual trip, so you can have hundreds of trips and only upgrade a few, but you can still buy multiple upgrades for multiple trips. I implemented that as a consumable, and that was at first point rejected. Now I asked Apple for clarification, we had some conversation about that, and then they said, yeah, with your latest explanation, we understand that and it should be a consumable. So that is not going to be an issue anymore. At least that's what I hope. Now, this also means that if you want to submit an app, make sure you write proper instructions and really clarify what is your app doing, for what kind of users, what is the business model, and how should it work? Because that really helps you to get you through that flow. Now, what have I done? I fixed the bugs, I made a new build, I extended my, let's say, instructions for the review team with very clear instructions, where to find my purchase button, how it works, what is the underlying model, etc. And I've submitted it, and well, as you can see here, currently it's waiting for review. Now I hope that by the time this video goes live, I have it approved by Apple and that we can do a big celebration on the app being available, and I might have to tweak a little bit more, but I feel confident that it will go through now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going away for the weekend to celebrate a little bit, and then after the weekend I'll get back to you and update you with the status, and that will probably be the moment where this video will go live. Oops, that didn't go as planned. I went away for the weekend and it was great. But already on the first day I discovered a serious bug with my location services. I also had a buddy reporting problems with inviting users. So 2 things to address. And on top of that, Apple rejected my app. This time it's on the user-generated content. Now, I did already an episode on that well back in the past, and I thought I had covered everything. But still, Apple doesn't like the way I deal with unblocking and, no, let's say unfollowing users. They really want me to be able to block users. So that's what I'm going to implement next. Need to satisfy the review team. So, I go back to work, and there will be a next episode before this is really done. Unfortunately, because I really hoped we had reached a milestone. It's not the case, but I still hope you like this video. So if you like the video, please like and subscribe. And if you don't like the video, subscribe anyway, because the next one will be better. It might be the final, but I don't make any promises. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.